Hello and welcome to everyone who's joined us today. The webinar that we're running today will be focusing on service record books. So we've got our PYA service record book team who've joined us today. So we've got our SRB manager, Valia, who's joined us, and Kim, who's our SRB administrator.
Hi.
And, sorry, guys. And yeah, so in addition to SRBs, we'll be discussing Seaman's discharge books and Seaman's cards. So Andy, who's our PYA CEO, will be covering these topics. And lastly, we'll be discussing yacht rating certificates. So Bianca, who is our certification and membership administrator, will be covering that. Cool, okay. So just before I get started, I just wanted to let everyone know, obviously we're a PYA whole team today. So we're offering, on all our webinars, we offer all our attendees a 20% discount on our membership. So if you'd like to take advantage and sign up as a PYA member, you can do this by going on our website and simply signing up and then using the code WEB20. And obviously, we'll go through, as we go through the topics today, you'll see that getting your service record book and yacht rating certificate is something you can do as a PYA member. So yeah, just to run through the schedule for today. So after my introduction, we'll go straight in and talk about service record books with Valia and Kim. After that, we'll talk about Seaman's discharge books with Andy and Seaman's cards as well with Andy. And then lastly, we'll have Bianca to tell us a little bit more about yacht rating certificates. And then finally, we'll end off with a couple of questions and we'll close off. So as we're going through each of the panelists, feel free to pop any questions in the chat. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any questions as they go along. But at the same time, we'll review those questions at the end of the webinar and we can run through them before we close out. Brilliant. Okay, so without any further ado, I'll jump straight into service record books. So obviously this is a really key part of many yacht crews sort of career package. So Valia, could you just tell us a little bit more about what are the benefits of getting a service record book? Oh, I think you just need to.
Yes.
There we go. Oh, I can't hear you now, Valia. Can you just unmute again? There we go. Oh, it's just gone back on mute.
Sorry. So by the MIN 543, the VMC had asked for the testimonials of seafarers to be verified. Otherwise, there would be a lot of delay in the processing of their application. So having sea time verified is what makes the NOE or revalidation application be processed within the standard MCA time frame of 28 days, rather than 2 or 3 months. The PYA historically have been offering our members the compilation of a physical sea service record book, which is this. And this book is where the sea time is written once it has been verified. Verification is a process. It means that once the seafarers submit their testimonials to us, we send an email to the signatory of the testimonial, and when they confirm the information on the testimonial, we then manually write it in the SRB, and then this gets reviewed and signed off by our SRB officers. So it's not a matter of just taking the testimonials and writing things down in a book. Now, the current state of events has pushed us somewhat sooner to evolve from the physical large booklet to a version online that you can basically carry everywhere and have with you. This is the digital SRB, which will be available soon, and we believe it will be a huge improvement of our services because seafarers will be able to see their SRB online and also download and present it to whoever they see fit. It will not be a physical book, the one that can be lost or be destroyed. It will be updated more easily without having to deal with all the physical difficulties that a seafarer that has to mail something back and forth deal with. And there are other advantages into having your verified seat time in one place, whether that is a digital SRB or a physical one. Since it's all in one place, it's easily accessible and you can go back to it whenever you want. It's in a chronological order and it's not in loose testimonials. It will be online, so you cannot lose it. There's no flimsy paperwork to deal with, or you don't need to carry all those testimonials around. It looks nice and tidy for the MCA, but also for other authorities such as Transport Malta. But also it's very helpful in an interview for a job because you can present it to show your seat time. And also you can show this to be admitted to courses. So all that is good things.
Great. And so obviously you've spoken about the move to a digital SRB. If someone wanted to record their sea service time, how should they go about doing it? Do they just contact the PYA directly to get their service record book?
No, basically almost everything is done online. So the service record book is not something you buy and fill in yourself, as a lot of people think. This and other benefits, they come with a membership in the PYA. So I will explain a little bit about the process. You can become a member online, you register and pay online. And when someone becomes a member, then they get a personal PYA profile. And there they can upload certified copies of passport and certificates and simple copies of their testimonials. And once they do that, we get notified immediately through the system, and their file goes into a queue and finally to the sea service team. There, the testimonials are checked for any inconsistencies, missing info, errors, and if they have any, we contact the members so that they can amend those. And then once they are sorted, we send an email for verification of their seat time to the signatory of the testimonial. And after we have received replies for all the testimonials, we submit it to an SRB officer who will review them online. If everything is fine, then the testimonials are accepted and they appear as verified on the profile of the member, so they can see that. And from this point on, they can apply for an NOE or a revalidation if they fulfill the rest of the requirements. If there are some queries by the SRB officer, then the testimonial is flagged up and then we contact either the member or the signatory to clear them out. And we then have to resubmit the file to the SRB officer for review. And then when everything is approved, we update the service record book, and then again, this can be seen online. The physical SRB will be stamped by an SRB officer. A copy will be uploaded to the profile, and then the members will get an email to inform them that it's ready and that it's ready for collection or delivery to the address of their choosing. Now the update or the issuance of the service record book or verification of individual testimonials, which we also do, it can take up to 25 working days. But that largely depends on the quality of the testimonials we receive and the response of the signatories. So if the seafarers haven't filled in the testimonials correctly, or if they have forgotten to fill in dates and signatures, or if they have forgotten to add the email address of the signatory, or if they have any testimonials with overlapping dates, then we have to contact the seafarer and amend the testimonial, and that takes time because we're going back and forth. So what we strongly suggest is that before they submit the testimonials, they give a careful look at what they're submitting, because it is their responsibility to check the testimonials, especially in cases where someone else has filled them in. So the seafarers, they have to read carefully their testimonials, and if they are not sure about something, then they can either read our tips on the testimonials, which is on our website under useful information, or just email and ask us. And you know, we handle dozens of files a day, and it's very often that the testimonials are in a bit of a mess, really. They're not in order. We see all kinds of mistakes, seat time that is erroneously calculated, the dates are missing, signatures are missing, handwriting that we cannot possibly read, all sorts. And we are trying to help everyone, but this task a correctly filled-in testimonial is the responsibility of the seafarer. So nowadays, almost everything is done online. The members can see the progress of the verification online in their profile. We notify them when we send the emails out for verification. And when we receive confirmation from the signatories, they see a mark next to those testimonials that have been confirmed by the signatories. So they know which one has not been replied. And then once all the testimonials are confirmed by the signatories and accepted by the SRB officer, then they appear as verified on the member's profile. And when the physical SRB is ready, they also receive an email about that, as I said before. Now, after COVID-19, and since the MCA now accepts applications online, people do not need to wait for and send a physical SRB to the MCA. Once their testimonials appear as verified online, they can email their NOEs to the MCA and copy us in the email, and then we follow up with a verified sea time. So that's, in summary, what the process is about and how you can obtain the SRB.
Brilliant. I mean, I think it's just obviously worth it reiterating there that obviously, you know, there's so many details in an individual crew member's testimonial. So just obviously, if you are going to apply for an SRB, it's really worth making sure that all your details are correct, or as correct as you can make them to be, because obviously there's a lot of back and forth that happens. So if you want the process to be streamlined, it's definitely worth checking all your details before submitting them. And yeah, and obviously great to hear how the process is moving more and more digital, because that's definitely going to make things more streamlined, and obviously it helps the crew to know, you know, they can just check online to see whether testimonials have been approved or not.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so obviously I think that the next sort of question that just naturally comes up is just, so we obviously offer the service to all PYA members. How much does this cost, and what does it entail? Kim, I don't know if you could answer this question.
Sure. So the SRB is an aspect of our services. We have different membership fees, and the full membership is the one that gives sea service verification and our service record book, being it the physical book or in the future the digital one. So depending on the membership fees, you get a different range of benefits, and later I will share a link on the chat so people can see the whole list of all our services and benefits of being a member of the PYA. But regardless of that, being a member of this association gives you a whole range of benefits that no one else really does. First of all, regardless of being a full member or an associate member, you can do everything online. So you can sign up online, you can upload your documents online, and the whole process of the sea service verifications or the assistance can be done online, which basically makes it for any seafarer in the world possible to become a member of the association and enjoy our services without having to come to Antibes anymore. We're moving to a completely digital SRB, as Valia anticipated, which will bring huge benefits to everyone, really. And apart from that, we can assist you in navigating your way through MCA tickets, sea service verification, certification in general. We can help you with your NOE and revalidation applications. And if anything goes south during this process, we can intervene with the MCA and support our members. We have up-to-date information from the industry that we share to our members through our newsletter and blog. Our members assistance service, which relates to work-related issues provided by our council members, is a great service which has been truly appreciated, and especially during the COVID-19 period when everything hit the fan, and a lot of seafarers had to face very difficult situations that they haven't had to face before. Our council members assisted our members, and not only our members, I have to say, we've also provided a lot of help to seafarers in general who contacted us. requiring advice on whatever matter was troubling them at that time. And it's still very active, so it's still very appreciated by everyone, even if things have calmed down a bit right now. Then we have free events like this webinar, which provide a lot of useful information. A free yacht rating certificate comes with the membership, and Bianca will speak about this later in more detail. But it's, it's something else that you don't have to pay for separately. And there are all a series of other benefits that you can find on our website. I will share the link later. And if anyone has any questions, they can contact us at info@pya.org. But basically, yes, if you are a seafarer and you're working on yachts, you have sea time that you need to verify, or simply you got to a stage where you've entered the industry and you don't really know what to do, well, we can assist you in that, and no one else really does it.
I'm muted, sorry. Yeah, I definitely think it's worth reiterating that, I think the PYA has got a lot of counsellors who are really experienced, ex-crew and current crew too. The types of the issues and the advice that our team can give crew is definitely unique in the industry, and yeah, definitely valuable to a lot of crew members. So thank you, Kim. And I guess that sort of answers my sort of final question of why crew should choose the PYA, and that's just really because we offer such a comprehensive membership. So in addition to sea service verification, if that's obviously a core piece that you need for your career development, I think not just with your membership to the PYA, not only do you get your service record book and your sea time verified, but you get the range of membership benefits that Kim just ran through. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. If anyone's got any questions in relation to getting their sea time verified, feel free to pop them in the chat and we can answer them at the end. But if you do have a little bit more of a personalized question that you need a little bit more detail on, you can email srb@pya.org. Is that the right email address, guys? I hope that's good. Okay, brilliant. So I think we'll wrap up sea service verification there. The next topic we've got on our agenda is just about Seaman's discharge books. So Andy, I know you're quite familiar with Seaman's discharge books. Can you just tell us a little bit firstly, how are these different to service record books? I've seen a lot of people online asking, what is the difference? Are these basically the same thing? And I think the simple answer is no, they are very different. They've got different uses. Andy, could you just explain that a little bit?
Yes, Stacey, yeah. It's an interesting one because the discharge books predate service record books, and they've always been the document that records a seaman's career experience and certification. But they also record a lot of other information. Predominantly when they joined a ship, when they left the ship, the capacity in which they served. So it actually forms a complete record. What those people going for STCW, so effectively junior officers or people in the Merchant Navy following that route, would be issued with a thing called watchkeeping certificates, which we also have in yachting. And it was the combination of those two documents that effectively verified your sea service. So in yachting, what we brought in the service record book as a neat and efficient way of recording sea service, but also recording your watchkeep, verifying the capacity and the watchkeeping you've undertaken in yachts, because the regulations are slightly different. So some people can actually work fine with a service record book, because the MC obviously accept those as a record of your sea service. In the wider maritime world, you would be required to have a discharge book, because it is effectively the official document recording, your whole career effectively. I think it's probably important to emphasize with discharge books that every flag state, and the UK is just one flag state, every flag state has its own regulations for recording this sort of information. So the reference really is on where you know, where is your nationality, where is your residency, because effectively that's your administration as a seaman. You may well be employed on a foreign flag vessel, but your status as a seaman is originates from the country of residency, citizenship, effectively. So if you were serving on a foreign flag ship, you would still present your discharge book to the master, and he would enter the required information. You might well have a colleague who came from a completely different country who would present their form of discharge book, because that's how they need to satisfy their own flag administration. In other words, when they end up going forward for perhaps examination, then it needs to be in a form that's recognised by that administration. Now, there's a lot of commonalities between documentation, but fundamentally that's the requirement. Our SRB, our Service Record Book, is recognised, I believe, by other flag states. But as Valia said, under the MIN 543, it's only the Red Ensign Group, which includes obviously the UK, but also includes Cayman Islands and etc., who currently delegate to us the recognition of that documentation. Although I believe the US Coast Guard, for example, would also recognise the form in which that information is recorded. But again, it's down to them if they're issuing the certificate, conducting the examination, then it's for them to decide how the information needs to come forward. So winding back to what a discharge book actually is and where it gets its authority from. Sorry, we just got thunder right over the house. So if you can hear the rumbling, that's what it is. You go back a long way. Those of you that have done some study already will know that there's a thing called the Merchant Shipping Act in the UK arena, as amended, and it's been amended so many times you've probably lost count. But effectively, within that, if you want to go and look at it, I think it's in section 70 or 71, it talks about seaman's discharge books. And you're required to obtain one. I think they're valid for 10 years. The MCA website is very helpful on this, so that would be my first port of call if you've got any doubts or require any further information. And you would need to present that document when you join your first ship. So if you're joining your first ship either as a junior seaman or as a cadet or junior officer, then you need to produce that documentation to the master. By the way, I'm using the term master because although we tend to use the term captain in yachting, the captain's a title, master is actually the official role, which is why all the legislations, why you sit a Master 3000 certificate. Master is what is the internationally recognised term for someone who is in administration and command of a vessel. So, as I said earlier, it's a full record of the seaman's career and experience. Now, do you need a discharge book? That's obviously another question that sometimes pops up. If you'll need something that from your own flag administration, so putting it into the British context, and this will apply elsewhere, you will need it if you work on ships or large yachts, particularly if they're operating in a commercial sense. And you also require, if you're not a British citizen, but employed on a UK registered ship or large yacht. So if you're South African, you're working on a UK registered ship or large yacht, and they do exist. That means it's flying the unfaced red ensign on the stern. Then you require a discharge book. You don't require a discharge book if you're on a ship that doesn't go to sea. Pretty obvious, maybe. On a pleasure yacht, and you do not receive any pay. So you know, if you're working on someone's sailboat or something and you don't get any money, then you don't need a discharge book. You don't need it if you're working for a contractor. If you're an engineer and you're working on a ship, testing the ship, its machinery or equipment inside coastal waters. You certainly don't need it if you're employed by the Crown yourself. By the Crown, I mean you're a civil servant and you're not normally employed as a master or seaman. You don't require it if you're working for a shipyard and you're on board for alterations, repairs, or testing of the ship. So again, if you're a contractor, or if the ship is unregistered. So if the ship is unregistered, then by default, because it's required on a registered ship, you obviously don't need discharge book. The other things that a discharge book serve, there's a thing that not universally used in yachting, but there's things that date way back called crew agreements, which would be entered into the discharge book. You would sign on a particular crew agreement. Crew agreements can actually end end during a voyage. For a good example of that, if the master changes, the captain changes, you normally end the agreement and start a fresh agreement. So you get signed off and signed back on again in the same day, back to back. That's basically because the captains have to sort of pass over all the documentation for the ship to their successor, and that's a neat way of keeping the paperwork tidy. It's an official document, this. If you deface it, you can be fined. If you lose it or it's destroyed, you're supposed to notify someone called the Registrar of Seamen, or a Mercantile Marine Office, MCA office effectively, or surveyor. If for some reason you decide to leave the sea, leave yachting, if you happen to hold one, you're actually supposed to return it to the Registrar of Seamen by recorded mail. If it expires, then you can probably retain it because you'll be looking to renew it. If you're actually outside the UK and away from a means of getting hold of a new one, I think I'm right in saying that they can run on for another year on top of the normal period of validity. So that's quite useful if you need to do that. I think that's sort of covered the main points. There's a lot of information on the website, Stacey. So I would advise people to, as I say, go and look at the MCA website, which is set up quite helpfully on this.
I will just add the link to the MCA website that explains some more information about Seaman's discharge books in our chat. So I've just put that there. And I've also put in the Cayman Islands link for if you want to get a Cayman Islands Seaman's discharge book. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really a comprehensive overview, Andy, of Seaman's discharge books. I think they date back a lot longer than I thought. And so, I mean, just to reiterate, if someone, really wants to go right now and get their Seaman's discharge book, they should either go to their, so if they're a citizen of the UK, they should apply from the MCA in the UK, or they can apply from the yacht that they're registered under. So if they're working under a Cayman Islands yacht, they can apply directly to the Cayman Islands for their Seaman's discharge book. Is that right? Yeah,
they should check with the administration of the where the vessel is registered to make sure that they're in compliance. I say some flag administration will accept discharge books from other administrations.
Okay.
So that's the first thing to look for. But of course, if you're carrying around a discharge book, obviously you've obtained one. You would normally present that to the master when you arrive on board, or the captain when you arrive on board. And he will advise you if there's a problem with it. I'm trying to look for mine actually. I've got it hidden away somewhere. But they normally have a photo ID in it, so they are very much tied to the individual. So they can be used also as a means of identification. Perfect. Which moves me on to Seaman's cards.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say this leads us really nicely into Seaman's cards, because I think when you say a form of identification, I mean that sort of makes me think is how is it different then to a Seaman's card, and what really do people or crew use Seaman's cards for, Andy?
Well, Seaman's card is very useful. You can actually travel if you're a registered seaman. You can travel on a Seaman's card. It's an internationally accepted document, so you can present it. It actually also quite often obligates the necessity to get a visa, because you're normally flying into somewhere in transit to the ship where you're going to sign on, or coming off the ship and transiting back to the UK or back to your normal place of residence. So if you land at a foreign port, which would you normally require a visa if you're a tourist, you don't require it. You've got an in-date Seaman's card, but you must be a British citizen to have and to hold a card. And so again, if you're not from another nationality, then you will have some similar document that is an equivalent of the British Seaman's card. Obviously, it's a photo ID as well.
Sorry, Andy, just to jump in there. So when we're talking about Seaman's cards, we're specifically referring to the UK Seaman's card, but there are obviously other versions of that issued by other countries. Yeah,
who want their seafarers to have exactly the same freedom of movement, if you like. It's also quite useful for one or two other things. As some of you know, you can get preferential air travel rates as registered seaman. So it's one means of identifying that you're, an applicant for that. And some airlines also give you increased baggage allowance if you're a professional seaman traveling. Some people don't realise that, but that's also available, basically because you might have to carry extra equipment with you if you're traveling to and from a ship.
Definitely. And during the COVID crisis, obviously a lot of countries, I know that the UK was obviously has issued a quarantine for anybody traveling at the moment. Obviously anyone coming from France or Spain has to have a 2-week quarantine, but I believe that seafarers are exempt from that quarantine. Yep. So simply presenting your Seaman's card should obviously help when going through, obviously you'll need additional documentation as well, but having a Seaman's card just helps when you're going through UK border control, confirm that you are indeed a seafarer.
And a little tip, because I've been down this road, if you arrive at somewhere like Heathrow and you get waved into the red lane for customs, fairly early on in the conversation, I suggest you produce your Seaman's card, but quite often they take a completely different view then, because you're a seaman who's traveling back into the country, and you may well be going out again. So that expensive watch that you happen to be wearing and you've just bought, you'll be exporting it in a week's time when you leave to go to join the next ship. So it's quite useful to produce something like a Seaman's card in those sort of circumstances. I ought to just say that you don't need a card if you work on a ship belonging to a general lighthouse authority, and you don't particularly need a card if you receive very little or no pay at all. I have to say that most officer cadets employed certainly under British flag are required to have a Seaman's card. Again though, any clarifications or questions, I would immediately talk to the MCA and they will advise accordingly. So that's also there. There's other information around the British Chamber of Shipping. I think it's got some information on it. And I think the International Chamber of Shipping has some information generally about Seaman's identity cards and discharge books as well. So both of those organisations would be able to assist anybody new to the game and wondering whether they should get it. I think if you're a British citizen, my advice to you would be, for the sake of the fee, I would get hold of both of those documents, and also a PYA SRB, just to keep yourself completely covered in terms of record of information. And of course, the other benefit which we talked about is that we're also helping to oil the wheels. So when you come to apply for an NOE, notice of eligibility, in yachting, having all your documents all verified and in good order is going to make the whole process a lot quicker for you.
Okay.
A little marketing push from me. I think I don't want to go too much further into any detail, but I mean, if as I say, if people are really interested in the nuts and bolts of it, then look up a copy of the Merchant Shipping Act. It will tell you all about it in there.
Perfect. I mean, and just one question, and I think you did touch on this, but just to clarify, Andy, obviously with a Seaman's discharge book, you can apply for, say, a UK Seaman's discharge book if you're on a UK registered vessel or one of the vessels who are registered under the Red Ensign group. But when it comes to Seaman's cards, you have to be a citizen of the UK in order to apply for a UK Seaman's card. And so, for example, if you wanted to apply for the American equivalent, you would need to be an American citizen, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's correct. You have to be a British citizen to apply for a Seaman's card.
Okay, so that's
you have to be a South African citizen. I would suggest to apply for a South African Seaman's card. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you. I think, yeah, that's really useful. And, you know, I think, like you say, just to reiterate, I think it's definitely worth, if you're taking your career within yachting seriously, it's good to get all your sea time verified and recorded with the PYA SRB, and then obviously getting a Seaman's card or a Seaman's discharge book as well. You know, obviously it's good to keep a record of your sea service, because the more official you can appear with your documentation, I imagine, you know, obviously it makes your career development and new jobs, and as you move onto different vessels, a lot easier.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Andy. Our next topic that we're just going to jump onto is just the yacht rating certificate, which is another PYA membership benefit, and it's something else that we offer to crew. So Bianca, could you just tell us a little bit more about why a crew need yacht rating certificates? Why do crew generally come to you and apply for a yacht rating certificate?
Yes, so to answer your question, Stacey, some yachts require certain crew to have a yacht rating certificate. So it's a part of their safe manning requirements, and they can ask for it when recruiting. Okay. So basically, if you don't have a yacht rating certificate, you could miss out on a future job. So the yacht rating certificate shows that you have advanced deck skills and that you are more responsible working on yachts. So it's not so difficult to apply for the yacht rating certificate. You need to follow some steps, and to qualify for the yacht rating certificate, you must be at least 60 years of age. The most important thing is to demonstrate at least 6 months of sea service, including 2 months of days at sea. So this is one of the important things that you must keep in mind. And also, you need to have the following SPCW certificates: personal survival techniques, elementary first aid, personal safety and social responsibility, and fire prevention and fire fighting. Also, you need to have a valid medical certificate, for example, DNG1, and you must complete the training record book. So, of course, there are some exceptions. So if you have, let's say, a yacht rating course completion or a yacht master offshore certificate, you don't have to complete the training record book. And also, another advantage is that the required 6 months of yacht service may be reduced to 2 months of days at sea. So if anyone wants to apply for the yacht rating certificate, I need to say that for the PYA members, the yacht rating certificate is free of charge. And for the non-members, there will be a fee for the service. So the cost will be 80 euros.
Perfect. And I think it's probably just
Also-
worth reiterating there that obviously, you know, if you want to get your yacht rating certificate on its own, you know, that's fine. But obviously, for a little additional fee, you can have our full membership benefits. So it's probably just worth highlighting that.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, if someone wants to apply for a yacht rating certificate, the original application form, the passport photos need to be sent to our office in Antibes. And the other required documents can be sent to me by email. Also, an important thing that I have to mention is that the copy of the passport and the copies of their certificates need to be certified. So a captain or a training school or someone who has a COC number can attest the passport and the certificate, because if they don't certify these documents, we cannot accept them.
Perfect.
Also, an important thing is that the person who countersigns the yacht rating application needs to countersign their passport photos. So it needs to be the same person. And if anyone has more questions or they need guidance, they can contact me directly by sending me an email at certificates@pya.org, and I can follow up with a checklist. I can give them more info and guidance. So
Perfect. Thank you, Bianca. I think that was really, that was really comprehensive. And in addition to emailing Bianca, if you've got any more questions, I've just popped in the chat the link to the website page on our PYA website, which explains a little bit more about getting a yacht rating certificate. So if you're an existing member, you can email Bianca directly to get yours, but if not, you can either become a member or pay to get your yacht rating certificate. Perfect. So I think that that ends off our agenda questions. I can't see any questions that have been added to the chat, and I'm just looking at our live event on Facebook just to see if anyone has added a comment there, but I can't see any comments there either. So yeah, if no one's got any specific questions, I don't know if any of the panelists want to add any final closing points just before we close out.
I can add something, Stacy. Going back to the topic of sea service verification and our service record book. Many people don't realize that they need to get their sea time verified, or they need to get testimonials before that. So it's very important that if they have a job now, they're working on a yacht, first of all, they need to get a testimonial when they end their working relationship with this boat, because later on it becomes harder and harder to get back in touch with that captain or that chief officer, or get hold of the management company or the owner to get that testimonial signed and get that sea time verified, therefore. And so the sooner you do it, the better it is. You never know what happens. We have problems sometimes with members who cannot get their sea time verified. And if you don't have verified sea time, you need to have another form of proof, of another form of verification of that employment. So the discharge book comes in hand in that case. But still, if that sea time hasn't been verified, the whole process will be longer, that's for sure. So just keep in mind, everyone, if you're working, get a testimonial, and try to get that seat time verified as soon as you can, rather than postponing to some later date. Maybe wait a few years because you don't need it now, but later on you might not be able to do so easily anyway.
So I think that's a really important point, Kim, and obviously the reason why we're holding this webinar right now, and it's just purely because the Mediterranean season is starting to wind down. A lot of crew will be moving on to other jobs, so definitely before you leave your vessel, make sure you get your sea time verified and get your testimonials before you move on. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today, and I hope that's given everyone a lot of useful information, and you've got enough information now to go off and get your SRBs or your Seaman's Discharge books or your Seaman's cards. But obviously, if you've got any questions, general questions, you'd like to contact the PYA, you can just email us on info@pya.org, or you can give our office a call. On our website, we have got all our contact details. So I'll pop in the email address and the phone number in our chat right now as well, so you can give us a call. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their day and a good end of their season.
Thank you everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.